Welcome to Bloodbath and Beyond. Today we're doing a retrospective review of Videodrome. First, it controls your mind, then it destroys your body.
Written and directed by David Cronenberg, starring James Woods, Sonja Smits, Peter Davarsky, Leslie Carlson, and Debbie Harry, the lead singer of Blondie. This movie's about a local TV station programmer named Max. He's looking for the next big show to air on his station, and so he starts looking into underground films. And he also has access to a video pirate who can decrypt foreign broadcasts using satellite and different technologies. In doing so, he finds snuff. And he says, hey, this is exactly what I want to air on my broadcast. And as he finds the origins of this show, he starts to question his reality and starts hallucinating. And all types of weird shit happens. It's very difficult to explain in a synopsis. This is a recommendation from Steve Ramsey over on Patreon. Videodrome is a weird movie, and it's one that I haven't seen in ages. And it's David Cronenberg, I think it's the first David Cronenberg movie that we've reviewed on the channel in general. Because this is a retrospective review, we will be spoiling things, and because it's also a David Cronenberg movie, like, you're not here to find out about this movie, you're here to listen to us try and dissect it. And so that's what we will attempt to do. So what do we like?
Before we get into the craziness, I do want to say that with this film, I was very impressed with the practical makeup. Just the overall effects. Like, they look very real, they're graphic.
And the reasoning for the effects is what's weird about this movie. So, like, this is just a guy looking for a show. He immediately is engaged when he sees his first snuff film. Or, like, at first it's just like bondage until he realizes people are dying. And he's like, well, this is a good movie to watch on a first date. And Nikki, his date, is just like, oh yeah, I was with a guy yesterday. He cut my neck a few times.
Yeah, it turns me on.
So it's like, fucking, why don't you cut me a little?
Take out your Swiss Army knife and cut me here, just a little.
This immediately, like, makes him fall in love with this stuff and just seek it out. This is where, like, the commentary aspect of the whole movie kind of comes into play. Back in the day, everybody was like, violence is going to affect you. And it's gonna change you. And we saw this in movies like They Live as well. It's like the media is controlling things. Well, this is like straight up the TV itself and maybe the radio waves coming from it are going to change your mind and warp you and make you see things.
Videodrome signal will ultimately create a new outgrowth of the human brain.
The whole idea of if you watch too much TV, then you lose your sense of reality, and what you think is real may not be real, and that's when James Woods starts to hallucinate. You see the insanity of his character. He can't differentiate from what he's seeing and what is actually happening.
And in a sense, that movie does the exact same thing with its audiences, and I think that was the whole intent. You don't know what exactly is his reality and what is a hallucination, because at some point he gets this Videodrome like hallucination headset to record his visions so they can broadcast them. Because I mean, he's watched enough snuff at this point that he's like, hey, I can just come up with this shit and we can just broadcast that, why not? But while we're watching it, we're like, wait, are we still inside of this virtual boy, or are we seeing something else here? Like, is this his reality? Is this everyone's reality? We don't know. And the practical effects, like John mentioned, were so good because, like, there's points where they're just like, hey, we need to, like, upload something to this guy, basically. We're just gonna take this weird-ass looking fleshy VHS tape and put it in your tummy.
Hey, it's a Betamax.
No, I think he was personally playing Betamaxes, but the ones that were injected had 2 reels, which are VHS.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Tough times back in the day. Beta or VHS?
It was tough. Beta was the surefire winner, but because VHS had the porno, VHS won. And history actually repeated itself when HD DVD and Blu-ray went head-to-head. Because HD DVD was cheaper to produce, and Blu-ray was more expensive because they were actually different discs. Pirates, my favorite porno movie, came out on Blu-ray, and well, that sparked it all.
I liked the acting in this film. There was some characters that were pretty over the top and felt out of place, but James Woods did a great job. Just the emotion and the range that he has. He did a good job with delivering his lines and his facial expressions.
And I'm kind of shocked because I would bet that I only really remember him from like Family Guy.
Ooh, a piece of candy. Ooh, a piece of candy. Ooh, a piece of candy.
I only see James Woods as Hades from Hercules. Don't get me wrong, James Woods is also great in John Carpenter's Vampires, which is another movie I would love to revisit, and Straight Talk, Dolly Parton. They had great on-screen chemistry. There's too many movies I've watched with him in it, but I gotta say, Hades is the thing that always will stick out.
Shout out to the most badass, like, mission place for homeless people. They got, like, their own little cubicles with TVs. I worked at a porno shop back in the day and kind of reminded me of that.
25-cent booths.
$10 to jerk off, my man. Not to jerk off my man. Next.
You gotta give credit to Cronenberg. Even though his stuff is absolutely out there, he does do a good job when it comes to the overall production value and cinematography of this movie. Everything that you're seeing looks right, and if he's trying to create this crazy hallucinogenic world, he does deliver that, and the directing is very good in this film.
Now, what didn't we like? The concept, while not necessarily really easy to digest, is somewhat apparent, and you understand what they're going for, but like this long progression, like it's actually exactly halfway through the movie where we start to see Max or James Woods kind of descend into this crazy world. James' stomach just like opens right at like the 45-minute mark where he decides to just stick a gun in there, because why not? I think that took a little bit too long. We knew his character, we understood his motivations very early on, and it just kind of dragged. And even after all of that, after the hallucinations kind of started, they were only like one-off scenes with a cool practical effect, and then it would jump to like normal world again.
I felt one of the big story issues was exposition, because whenever they try to explain something, it's just like a quick one-off answer. Like, where's Nikki? Like this whole time. Like you see her as this established character in the beginning, and she's gone throughout most of the movie.
She's in Pittsburgh.
She's in Pittsburgh doing Videodrome.
And I think that's bad.
They give you a reason, they just don't explain it.
Which actually reminds me of a I forgot. Which was the twist. The twist was pretty fucking good. The twist was that the video pirate, when we find out that he's working with Barry.
We did record your hallucinations, Max.
As I said we would.
Because while we're watching the movie, we're trying to figure out, like, wait a second. If this video pirate is downloading these signals that are supposed to, like, transform your brain and give you a tumor that causes problems, like, how the fuck isn't he fucked up?
I was playing your tapes, Max. Pre-recorded cassettes. Videodrome has never been transmitted on an open broadcast circuit.
It was shocking.
I felt as though everything was very rushed near the end. We're getting a lot that is happening on screen. Considering how much of a buildup it was to this moment, it just felt like, I gotta go kill you. Now I had to honor the flesh instead of the Videodrome. And just like the decisions that were made were done within 5 minutes.
And I think if they didn't wait for the 45-minute mark to start doing that kind of stuff and they rolled it out earlier, it would have been a little bit better. And there was obviously some inconsistency with the handgun, which kind of poses a problem, but I'm not sure if it was like intentional either. Because sometimes this guy's hand was an actual gun that kind of looked like a dick at times. But then sometimes it was just a normal hand and the gun was not attached to his hand. And you're trying to figure out, is this in reality or not in reality? But based on people's reactions around him, you're suggesting that it is reality. Fuck, even talking about this is fucking me up. This movie's fucked up and I don't understand it.
At one moment, Max goes in and kills his two bosses. Then, like, the station is concerned, but he, like, gets out okay. And then he's a wanted man. But then when he goes and kills Barry, he shoots him with his gun, but, like, his body just, like, splits in half. How are we supposed to take that? Do the people at this, like, glasses show, do they see the split in the body? Because, like, bullets shouldn't, like, make you crack open like an egg. Or even, like, when he kills the video pirate, he turns his hand into
a potato masher, like, grenade thing?
Yeah, and then, like, he blows up the wall, and that's how Max escapes. And what's happening?
There's literally a cop there, which there's no, like, repercussions for anything that happens. The only battle that he ever has is, like, internally, because even, like, the bad guys, he literally just walks up and shoots, or, like, puts their hand in his stomach. There's no fighting back from anyone in the movie. And that's kind of a downside as well because the climax doesn't really exist. And the ending sucks. He just goes to like a condemned vessel. He kills his TV self and then he kills himself. And that's it. I don't get it. I know the comments are all gonna be like, these guys just don't get it. This is the one time I'll say 100% you're right. I didn't get it. I didn't like this movie because I didn't get it. True. Now it's time for our final thoughts and ratings. Like, I somewhat understand what this movie's all about, but I don't think the movie in general is that great, simply because it's not very enjoyable. There are some really great moments and some standouts that I will definitely remember because of the visual impact. The practical effects were fantastic. James Woods did a great job just slowly going crazy, and me as an audience member watching it feeling like I didn't really understand which world or which reality I was actually in. And that was done perfectly. But in general, the movie is a little bit too slow, and some of the reasoning behind things just didn't make any sense. Potentially done on purpose, but it doesn't excuse the fact that I didn't enjoy myself. And that's really what it comes down to. I know that this is probably someone's favorite movie. It is not mine. So I'm gonna give this 1.5 geisha dildos out of 5.
As most would expect from a Cronenberg film, it is kinda out there. But I found myself strangely enjoying this movie. I really liked James Woods' character. He did such a good job, and it was a well-polished film with some great practical effects. The story leaves a lot to the audience in what is actually going on, and I don't like that any exposition we got was just one-line answers that didn't give us any type of resolves. This movie doesn't give you any clarification, and it can be very annoying. It's also awkwardly paced. We have a very slow burn at the beginning, and then it just like skyrockets its way through after the halfway point, and things get really crazy. You get some cool deaths, you get some interesting character interactions. So with that being said, I'm gonna give this film 3 C kids. If you sit too close to the TV, it will ruin your vision, or does it? Out of 5.
As always, thank you for watching. Like this video and comment below with your thoughts on the film if you've seen it. If you haven't and you do want to check it out, links are in the description. And if you want the opportunity to recommend a movie for us to review, Patreon link also in the description. And if this is your first time here, make sure you subscribe to the channel to stay updated with everything Bloodbath and beyond.